The First Kings. The Reign of Kayumars. Hey everyone. Today, we're diving into an epic tale from the Shahnameh by Ferdowsi, all about the first king who sought the crown of world sovereignty, Kayumars. Have you ever wondered who was the first to dream of ruling the entire world? Well, this story has been passed down from generation to generation, and now it's time for us to hear it. Kayumars was the first man to become king and establish the ceremonies associated with the crown and throne. When he became lord of the world, he first lived in the mountains, where he set up his throne, and he and his people dressed in leopard skins. Kayumars was the one who first taught humans about preparing food and clothing, which were completely new concepts back then. Seated on his throne, shining as brightly as the sun, he reigned for 30 years. He was like a tall cypress tree topped by the full moon, and the royal far shone from him. All the animals of the world, wild and tame alike, respectfully bowed down before his throne, and their obedience increased his glory and good fortune. He had a handsome son, wise and eager for fame, just like his father. His name was Shahnameh, and Kayumars loved him with all his heart. The sight of his son was the one thing that made him truly happy, and his love for the boy made him weep at the thought of them ever being separated. Shahnameh grew into a fine young man with no enemies, except for Ahriman, who secretly envied his splendor and looked for ways to humble him. Ahriman had a son who was like a savage wolf. This fearless youth gathered an army, spread sedition throughout the world, and prepared to attack the king. Shahnameh is killed by the black demon. Kayumars was unaware of these evil plots, but the angel Sorush appeared before Shahnameh, disguised as a magical being clad in leopard skin, and warned him about the conspiracy against his father. Furious, Shahnameh assembled an army. Back then, there was no armor, so the prince dressed for war in a leopard skin. The two armies clashed, and Shahnameh charged forward, but the black demon sunk his claws into Shahnameh's unprotected body, stretching the noble prince in the dust. Now in the dirt he laid the king's son low, clawed at his gut, and struck the fatal blow. So perished Shahnameh, a demon's hand, left leaderless his people and his land. When Kayumars heard of his son's death, his world darkened with sorrow. He descended from the throne, weeping, beating his head, and scoring his royal flesh in agony. His face was smeared with blood, his heart was in mourning, and his days were filled with sorrow. The army stood before the king, and a cry of grief rose from its ranks. Everyone wore blue as a sign of mourning, and all the animals, wild and tame alike, and the birds of the air, gathered, weeping and crying, to the mountains. The dust raised by the throng of mourners hovered in the air above the king's court. They mourned for a year until the glorious Sorush brought a message from God, saying, "Kayumars, weep no more, but be of sound mind again. Gather an army and fight against this malevolent demon." The king turned his weeping face toward the heavens, and prayed to the great God that evil strike those who think evil. Then he prepared to avenge Shahnameh's death, neither sleeping at night nor pausing to eat during the day. Hushang and Kayumars. Fight against the black demon. Shahnameh had a son, Hushang, who became his grandfather's advisor. This splendid youth was a mix of intelligence and courtliness. Kayumars lovingly brought him up as his own son, because Hushang reminded him of Shahnameh, and he had eyes for no one else. With his heart set on war and vengeance, he summoned Hushang and revealed his plans. He said, "I shall gather an army and raise a cry of lamentation in the demon's ranks. You must command these warriors, as my days are numbered, and you will be the new leader." He gathered fairies, leopards, lions, savage wolves, fearless tigers, birds, and domestic animals, and this army was led by the intrepid young prince. Immerse was at the rear, with his grandson, Hushang, in the front. The black demon came forward fearlessly, but the king's fury and the wild animal's magnificence rendered the demon's claws harmless. When the two groups clashed, the animals defeated the demons. Like a lion, Hushang caught the black demon in his grip, cleaving his body in two and severing his monstrous head. He laid him low in the dust and flayed his wretched body of its skin. Having achieved the vengeance he desired, Immerse's day came to an end, and the world was deprived of his glory. You will not find another who has known the might of Immerse and his great throne. The world was his while he remained alive. He showed men how to prosper and to thrive. But all this world is like a tale we hear. Men's evil and their glory disappear. So, if you enjoyed this epic tale, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more legendary stories from the Shahnameh and beyond.